All right, buddy.
And there he is, Mike in the night. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for restreaming this. It means a lot to me.
Well, it's my extreme pleasure, Mike. And you know how much I respect you as a. Hold on a second. Wow, 1 second. Hold on, guys. I've got feedback here. That's my bad. Let me fix that problem right now.
Well, we're going to have to get good at this over time, Kevin, because we're going to have to start rebroadcasting our stuff all the time to get the message out.
Okay, Mike, there we go. That kills the feedback issue. God, I hate Microsoft sometimes. All right. Mike, you and I have talked about this many times in the past about the fact that you and you seemingly are about 5 years ahead of the curve. I tend to be between 6 months and 3 years ahead of the curve when we are talking about big news stories coming up and so on. And I have been paying attention to all the craziness around the world. You and I talked at length about the Russia-Ukraine war being a distraction, which of course it is. And everyone took the bait on that. Everybody felt that they had to have some type of opinion on this. They had no idea how little they actually knew about it, but they all had an opinion. Even the YMCA in Calgary, which is the biggest YMCA in Canada, had screens. On the screens for all the treadmills, it said, support Ukraine, Russia bad, Ukraine good. Now, I confronted the staff about that, and they said, well, that comes from head office. And I asked, real simple question, why is a not-for-profit corporation that's supposed to be anti-racism showing its disdain for Russia, who actually were less wrong than Ukraine in that particular bit? And of course, there's no answers. Free Ukraine. That's really what I get in the way of an answer, Mike. All right. Well, the Ukraine story was beginning to lose its power, and the amount of money laundering had to shrink a bit because we were all getting tired of seeing our billions going to Ukraine. So what happens? They pull the trigger on another war here, Israel-Palestine. And in true fashion, every moron on the planet has an opinion on this war. And not only do they have an opinion on it, which mostly is wrong, but they've picked a side. And they're mad at me because I won't pick a side. You said you won't pick a side. But here's the funny thing. The Israelis are not mad at me for not picking a side. It's not even Palestinians that are mad at me. It's morons who support Palestine around the world who have never been there, can't find it on a map, and know nothing about its history. They're the ones telling me that I must pick a side. And of course, I have to pick their side, which I am not going to do. So we've got this massive distraction here. You're all paying attention to Palestine, Israel, but you're not paying attention to the fact that Canada is just about broke and the bank rate's about to hit 9%. And when that happens, everybody, you can be rest assured 50% or more of Canadians are going to be out on the street. They're also trying to distract you from the fact that MAIDS, M-I-D-S in Canada, which is medical assistance in dying in Canada, is becoming a massively prevalent thing. And anybody who wants to die can just call up and say, hey, listen, the Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967. I'd like you to kill me, please. Or, the Vancouver Canucks just lost to the Seattle Kraken. Please kill me. They will. They absolutely will. And they will do this to children under the age of 18 without parental permission nor consent, and just kind of go, yeah, well, the kid came to me and I thought I'd put a needle in your kid's arm. And you know what's going to happen with that is that the parents are going to cry. They'll go on Twitter and cry about it, complain about it. And that doctor will get away with murder. It is murder.
Yes.
I don't care if it's legalized by a government. Murder.
Government-sanctioned murder.
Yeah, it is absolutely government-sanctioned murder. But will anybody in this country do anything about it? And of course, the answer is no. Everybody in Canada gets screwed over all the time. And what they'll do is they'll look for a scapegoat to blame, such as you and me. And I don't care that they blame me for their pathetic decisions. But what I do care about is that the distraction of Israel is stopping people from realizing that children are going to be murdered en masse in Canada. And let's call it what it is. It's going to be mostly white people that will be murdered by the government in this MAIDS plan. to depopulate us. Justin Trudeau made it very clear. He hates white people. He said that over and over again.
All right. Let me, can I add a bit to this if that's okay?
It's your show, brother. You can say anything you
want. You're on fire right now, but I don't want to lose your train of thought here. Okay. So I just want to go back first real quick to the Russia thing. I want to add that today a man came into my store with a t-shirt that says F Putin on it with a picture of it on his face and F you Putin. And he came in and he was pointing at me and he was telling me that Putin's killing babies and I am for killing babies because I made a disgusting video, which he ended up seeing. And it was a very disgusting video about this whole thing, not taking sides, and the people in the middle are the ones that are, and he didn't frame it like a nice video like that. Like it was a nice, you're not taking sides because of the innocent people. No, he came in and told me that Putin's killing babies and blowing up schools. And I am on the hook for that too, because I'm supporting that. I'm just on the hook. I'm just as much on the hook as Putin is for killing babies. And he came in, he was pointing and pointing and pointing at me and told me to have a good day and then stormed out of my store. That was today. And with the whole maid thing, 8 years ago, I made a prediction on the channel saying that 1 out of 10 people by 2025 will be euthanized by 2025, 1 out of 10. And that was like 8 or 9 years ago, the video was made. And then it caught the attention in the UK, where the Daily Mail was actually, a few months back, you could find the article, was stating that Canadians are on track for euthanizing tens of thousands of people. Then I made an SOS video out of Canada, and I said, guys, this is major. And if this prediction I made years ago comes true, we're in a lot of trouble here. We're in a lot of trouble. And I followed that video by making another video calling out Joe Rogan and Russell Brand, the Rumble hero, all these heroes, these big heroes, saying, look, SOS out of Canada, I need you guys to look at this. Even if you want to call me out and call me a retard or call me delusional for saying something like this, at least look into it and create awareness. Not a single peep from anybody. So unfortunately, we're pretty much sitting ducks here, especially with the whole censorship thing and me having to move off of Rumble. It's been big. It's been, yeah. Go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
Well, you're correct. And they are going to it'd be like factory murder. You'll be able to line up, sit down. You'll be able to watch some TV. They'll probably ask you what you want, cup of coffee, whatever's cheapest for them to serve you. They'll make you as comfortable as possible. And then they'll go through the whole rigmarole of bringing you into a nice room. They'll ask you, do you prefer trees or do you prefer sky? And, you'll go into a room with a really crappy mural painted on the wall and be euthanized. And I'm pretty sure that if you change your mind, they will go ahead with the project anyway, or the process anyway. I don't think for a second that they're going to film this so that they can be self-incriminated. That's what they do. So watch your children, everybody, or better yet, just get the hell out of Canada. If you have children now, they are going to be depressed. They're going to be upset. They are going to perpetually be lost. They're not going to know why. They are angry and they will go for maids. And if you don't want to lose your kids, then get out of here as quickly as you possibly can. There's no reason to be here anymore. So, Mike, I'm issuing that warning to everybody, but I'm also going to now scold every single human being on the planet. If you are not Palestinian, why are you holding up Palestinian flags, walking through the streets of London, Moscow, Mexico City, Suva, Canberra, Sydney,
Christchurch?
Brasilia? You're going through all these cities all over the world, behaving like idiots. You're breaking windows.
You forgot Toronto.
Down. You're screaming at the top of your lungs, free Palestine, and so on. I must remind you all that you're not Palestinian. I bet $50 that you can't find it on a map. You honestly do not know the history that dates back to Roman times. So why are you out there upsetting everybody in your country, shutting down your country, shutting down your city to protest something that is not going to change a damn thing? Do you think the Israelis care about the protest? And do you think that Hamas cares about the protest? Israel and Hamas are both right now killing. They're killing. Jews are being killed in both regions, actually all three, if you count the West Bank, Israel, and anything that would be Palestinian land. Palestinians are being killed in the same areas, plus the Gaza Strip. Egypt has shut down the border. If you are a Palestinian, you cannot go into the Sinai Peninsula to escape. And also Hamas is holding them there. Why are you not protesting Egypt? Why are you not protesting Hamas? Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon are not taking Muslims into their countries. They have very distinct cultures of their own. Their particular branch of Islam is the one that they prefer, and they want to protect it. They're not bringing Palestinians in. So where are the objections to the Islamic world not helping Muslims? If they hate Jews so much, why are they not helping? That is the thing here, Mike. And I'm not saying anybody should be hating anybody, but I am saying for all these losers around the world, you are stupid. You have no clue what's going on. And if I were you, I would go to the nearest Saudi Arabian embassy and demand they take Palestinians in. Saudi Arabia, folks, is right there. Palestinians can just walk there if they had to. Egypt is right there. They can walk. Go to the Egyptian consulates in your country and protest there. Don't protest downtown. That's not going to do anything. And it's not like any of you know how to fight. So I suggested, and I got a lot of crap for this on Instagram, why don't you guys go to Palestine if you hate Israel so much? Pick up a weapon and fight this government that you say that you don't like, but you won't. You're cowards. You want to go to Starbucks and have a caramel mocha lucky buccino for $10.50 or even $11, and you're going to sit there on your laptop and tweet KevinJJohnston. Yeah. That's what you're going to do. Losers. Woo! Now, here's the thing, Mike, is that people on Instagram are giving me messages here saying, well, even if we wanted to go, we don't want to go because Israel will slaughter us. Israel's got a blockade up there. Right. Okay. Well, if you cared that much, you would bypass the blockade. You'd say, hi, Egypt. How you doing? Look, I know I'm landing here in the Sinai. Could you let me into the Gaza Strip, please, so that I can take up arms against Israel? But you won't do that. You're going to make excuses. You're blaming Israel for your cowardice. Now, isn't that incredible? Kevin, I despise you all. And you notice, Mike, also, and I'm going to let you have the microphone here in a second. And I'm just getting started, by the way. You notice how Israeli protesters are the ones being attacked with weapons all over the world? Do you notice how people flying Israeli flags are not shattering windows and stabbing people and beating people up? Do you notice how they're not the ones shutting down cities? What is so special about this land referred to incorrectly as Palestine that makes everybody so crazy? You're up.
Let me add to going over to fight. All right. A lot of people went over to fight and to support the Ukraine. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yes. They were taking in militia, freedom fighters, the Mujahideen. Man, they were taking anybody that could get over there, right? Okay, so here, let me add to this. My friend, a friend of mine, Tony Di Fangulo. His brother went there as a medic. He's a trained medic. He was a military medic for like 8 or 9 years and worked as a side doctor and stuff like that, right? He was more of a mob doctor. So he went over to the Ukraine to help on the medical end of things. They ended up putting him on the front line, and they don't know where he is anymore, and they have never heard from Tony Di Fangulo's brother. So nobody knows where he is. So I saw him a few weeks ago on Skype. He obviously called me on Skype from New York and told me, I don't know who my brother is, man. And I'm like, well, so there are people that did go over to fight for the Ukraine side when this war kicked off, because there was a lot of hotheads that wanted to release a bit of steam and wanted to go out fighting, I guess, right? So it was basically a meat grinder because this was a war of attrition for Russia, and it was a money laundering scheme for the Ukraine. Go ahead.
You're correct. Now, a lot of people that went to Ukraine to fight ended up being kidnapped by the Ukrainian government and forced into labor camps. That's the other story that nobody covered here. So, I mean, imagine you buy into the crap that CBC and the BBC and CNN are telling you, and you think, I'm going to go fight Putin because CNN says so. That's exactly what people did. So they end up in Kyiv and they end up being kidnapped by the government, and they're still missing or dead. And if they are still alive, they're in forced labor camps, or perhaps they're even being used as sex slaves and whatnot, because Zelensky and his crew are into all that really weird bi and trisexual stuff. So you could be Zelensky's little boyfriend there. You got to be very, very careful when you decide you want to take up arms in a war or a battle that has nothing to do with you. You don't know the history. You don't know the culture. You don't know the military structure. You know nothing. And you don't know what duties you're going to be given. What do you think is going to happen? You sign up and they give you a uniform and a gun and they say, okay, now go kill Russians. That's what people thought. They had no idea that they were going to be disciplined and beaten and robbed. Yeah, I mean, all their stuff got robbed. I'm floored at how stupid people are. So what you're saying there is, if you cowards out there protesting all over the world about Palestine went to the Sinai Peninsula and tried to make a deal with the Egyptians, that they will probably turn you back, and you'll have to deal with the Americans and the Israelis in that body of water there. So you may not even make it to dry land. But if you do get there, I doubt very much that the second you cross into the Gaza Strip, that Hamas is going to say, hey, good to see you, Johnny and Michael and Steve. And hey, you know what? I love your New York Rangers t-shirt. That's just fabulous. So I'm going to show you how to use this AK-47. Here, it's yours free of charge. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Hamas would blow your head off. If you're a woman, they'll take you in as a sex
Hamas
slave.
are ruthless gangsters. The ruthless gangsters. They were funded by Israel. They were founded and funded by Israel originally. It's just like the Mujahideen was founded and funded by the United States of America in 1980 in Afghanistan. In 81 and 82, they were giving them more heavy munitions to fight off the Russian invasion in 1981-82 of Afghanistan by the Russians. And that's how the Mujahideen got formed. And then they used those weapons, and then they became Al-Qaeda, then ISIS, then ISIL. They've migrated to all kinds of different networking platforms, whatever boogeyman they need for the week. But it's all funded by all the West funds all this stuff, Kevin, left, right, and center.
Yeah, the West funds it. And for whatever the reason, Canadians and Americans just kind of sit back and let their money disappear into the night. And just so you know, there's some guy named Paul in the chat room here is referring to me as a nut. Well, opinions vary, right? And he's allowed to have that opinion. And I want to say thank you to everybody in the Rumble room who's watching. Mike, I've got you. I'm restreaming your show right now on every piece of social media I could find. I could get together for you. I mean, everybody should be watching Mike in the Night. This show is amazing. And Mike, I understand you're exclusively now on D Live. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a few things that are going on, and I'll tell you, if things unfold the way I'm thinking they are, I'll keep you in the loop. What's going on, and so it's dangerous when you get too close over the target, and it gets very dangerous. It starts to get ruthless, and I'm an open person, and anyone could find me. I have a store. I live in a small town. And I have a family, so I just have to be careful for the next couple of months the way things are maneuvering here. So that's why I'm here on. I'm going to hide out on the ground here on D Live for a couple of months, and then see where things go from there.
Well, D Live is a stable platform, and they don't censor anything. And you said you can do a 9-week transmission if you want to on D Live.
I'm going to say I'm lying to you. I don't know how long, but I found the transmission that was going for 9 weeks.
Wow, that's incredible.
So I don't know. It says 9. It said 9W, and then I looked 9 second.
Well, I'm probably eventually, Mike. If Rumble doesn't stop throttling your numbers and my numbers back, which we know that they do, I may have to make the switch to D Live. So if anybody's watching Mike in the Night right now, please follow me and Mike on D Live. It's just dlive.tv/Mike Martins, plural with the S. And the other one is dlive.tv/KevinJJohnston. And this guy Paul's telling you and me that we don't have our facts straight. And believe me, there's no other social commentators in Canada that have their facts straighter than Mike and I do. Right?
I was told that I was told that back in 2017 and 2018 and 2019 when I was telling people they're going to pull the trigger on a pandemic because the economic woes that the deregulation of the banking system, that they're going to be forced to pull the trigger on the pandemic. And it's on record with timestamps multiple times. But unfortunately, people still don't. People told me the same thing. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I can't get my facts straight. And yeah, and the same thing when I said they're going to have to raise interest rates to 9%. By 2022 or 2020 or 2021. I was wrong on the date, but we're just backpedaling because now we got to even raise them to 10-12% to catch up to inflation. So that's another problem, and it's going to get worse. I think things are going to get worse before they get any better, Kevin. And I think it's going to be a big rude awakening for a lot of people are going to wake up to the fact that they've been had, and a lot of people are going to wake up to the facts and basically obtain a crash course on how they've been used and abused these last 10, 12 years.
Yeah, you know what, though? The problem is everybody is they are being duped, and they're mad because groceries are over the top expensive and whatnot. But again, no one's doing anything about it. And that's the part that gets on my nerves the most. Nobody is doing anything. Why are you protesting Palestine? Well, look, here's what I bought. 2 heads of romaine lettuce, 3 cans of tomato sauce, 1 fruit tray for me and 3 of my buddies to play cards and just eat fruit out of, and a box of cereal, $63.
63 pesos?
63 Canadian dollars for that.
Whoa.
Yeah, tell me about it. So why are you stupid idiots in Canada, morons? Why are you fools protesting Palestine, Israel? Why are you not in front of every grocery store in Canada protesting prices of food? You stupid idiots. Do you understand what I'm saying here about distractions? You are picking a side in a war that does not concern you, that does not shape the future of anything for the Western world at all. Period. If we became completely independent of needing to know this stuff. Why are you not at Co-op, Sobeys, Costco, wherever you're buying food? And if you're in the States, what is it, Piggly Wiggly and all the other silly names you guys have, Walgreens, you guys should be in front of all these stores protesting food prices, shutting them down, not letting the staff into the store, parking your vehicles in front of the doors so that they can't get in there until they reduce food prices. Americans and Canadians have become so ingrained in what the news tells them to watch that they cannot even tell they're being duped on everything. That includes electricity, natural gas, food. Mike, how about this scam here? There's fewer than 5% of houses in Calgary where it goes to minus 40 Celsius at Christmas time. You're not allowed to have fireplaces that burn wood in your house. Less than 5% of houses in this city have fireplaces or wood-burning stoves. If you do have a fireplace, it has to be natural gas. So you can flick a switch and the thing comes on and they can bill you for gas. Think about that. They don't want you having free heat in your house in the province of Alberta. How are you guys so dumb to not notice this? Who cares about Ukraine? Who cares about Nigeria? Who cares about Sudan? Who cares about any of this stuff?
Pakistan.
Right? Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say Pakistan. But anyways, to be really frank with you, this was a while back. It was a short video that I got taken down back in 2014 where we did, I don't know, a 6-7 minute little short video about the outlawing of wood burning fireplaces. And it was actually spearheaded in the United States. In Washington state, they started back in 2012, 2013-ish to attack on wood burning fireplaces at homes. And then Canada caught wind of it. And Canada started to ban people catching rainwater in some provinces. I'm not sure where, but some provinces are banned from catching rainwater. Some provinces were passing bills disallowing builders to put in fireplaces in the homes now when they build new homes. So they were outlawing this. It's all after around 2012, all this stuff started outlawing and they're putting fluoride in the water. Kevin, okay, you're a witness to this. You covered this on your show and I was floored. And I want to ask you this. What did Calgarians vote to put in their water in the last election?
Fluoride.
That's right. You covered that on your show and I was floored.
I couldn't believe it was even on the block to be voted on, because Calgary had gone out of its way to remove fluoride from the water system. And what had happened here is, let's just go back to 2021 for a quick second, everybody. I was running for mayor of Calgary.
Yeah.
The police were so concerned that I would win that election that they actually sent a liaison officer out to me to meet me at and Pastor Archer Pavlovsky at Archer's home. They said, "We are at your service. We're here to protect you because we feel that you could win this election." The police did this, literally. And then, of course, the police arrested me when I polled number one in May of 2021. Now, I had said everything on my platform was exactly opposite every other candidate. I said, there is no pandemic. I am going to get rid of masks in the city of Calgary. You're all going back to work. We will use the police to stop the health authorities from going into your locations. If they go in there and you happen to, quote unquote, push them out the door, we're not sending the police out to file reports or charge you with assault. I also said I would send SWAT out to the key brass people involved in that agency who were responsible for shutting down your business. And of course, they couldn't have that. I also said fluoride is never going to go back in the water. We are going to fix the roads. We're not going to put toll roads in. We're going to get rid of red light cameras because they're unconstitutional. They're a complete and total scam. I said all this stuff. Every other candidate was exactly opposite me. Obviously, my populism was making me popular, and they had to silence me by locking me up for 7 weeks in maximum security facilities. Once in Edmonton, and then the last 5 weeks in Calgary. And in Edmonton, they kept me in solitary confinement for 2 weeks. I was allowed out for 15 minutes a day. And in that time, that's when I get a chance to call my lawyer. So it's either I shower or call my lawyer, but not both. That's how this country functions. This is a disgusting communist Marxist country, and Canadians are not out protesting it. Do you know what Canadians did? The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation said, this KevinJJohnston guy, he's bad because he wants you to take your mask off. So Canadians did not protest my illegal detention and the election interference. They were protesting the fact that people didn't want to wear masks. That's how stupid Canadians can be. There was a protest that was organized outside the prison, which led them to getting me out of the prison faster. So I want to thank Brad Kerrigan for setting that protest up. There's a protest for me and Pastor Stevens on 2 separate days where there was hundreds of people outside the jail, and all the staff panicked and they parked their cars in fields behind the prison. It was an incredibly amusing thing. But 100 people, 100, 200 people at a protest is just not enough. There should have been 10,000 people there saying, do not interfere with our elections. You know, people should have been, honestly, they should have been overturning the cars in the parking lot. They should have set up shop and pitched tents in the parking lot and had barrels outside where they would have fires in the barrels for cooking and having hot chocolate. It should have gone on all night, not just for little old me, but for your supposed democracy in general. And I can tell you this right now, there's not a single protest in Calgary, population, what, 1.2 million, in front of a single grocery store in this town. But Palestinian flags are all over downtown, and people are in wrestling matches downtown over, I like Israel, I like Palestine, I'm smarter than you.
And they're not protesting. But you know what the good part? I sleep well at night, and I'll tell you why, Kevin, I sleep well at night. Because I warned people the price of food's going to become astronomical. I made food haul videos, what I bought for $200, what I bought for $400. The price of food is costing more than my rent. I got maybe 200-300 food videos warning people about foodflation, all this stuff that's going to happen. So I could sleep well at night knowing, you know what? A lot of people can't afford to buy food, but I did warn them that this was going to happen, and it will happen. And the amount of like backlash I got from this, from all these, what do you call it, academics, all these academic, highly educated people saying, Mike, you don't understand the basic logics of an economy and how it functions and works and blah, 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 blah. And yeah. And yeah, I just want to do one quick update, guys. We have 120 people viewing. That's about the average number around this time, 40 minutes mark. That's about how many viewers we would have on Rumble with 2,001 or 2,100 followers. And I have 68 followers and I have 124 people viewing. So we could see where things are being skewed here. 68 followers, sorry, and 124 people viewing, Kevin. So that's on my side here. So you could kind of see where things are going here when it comes to playing with the numbers, right? Like I was doing a YouTube live stream and I had 80 people watching with 32,000 followers. And it's worse on Facebook. I have 121,000 followers on Facebook and I have 9 people watching. So
okay. Look, Mike, they're throttling the numbers back for guys like you and me. And what will happen here is the number of emails and congratulatory statements on social media that I get after a live broadcast that I do, especially with you or any of the American stars that we bring on, the number of emails surpasses the number of people that they say were watching. All right. So what you can count on in the marketing game is between a 1 and a 5% response to anything that you do. Now that's true on live transmissions and that's true on delivering flyers, the whole bit. So if I get over 150 emails after a show is done, and that is representative of, let's say, 1% of the people watching, 150, 1%. So you're probably over 10,000 at that time, and not just the couple of hundred that Rumble says that are there.
yeah.
So the numbers are they're being deliberately mashed, and Rumble is it does have a Canadian office, and that being the case, they'll do their very best to squash Canadian voices, but they give preferential treatment to guys like Sneeko. You keep bringing him up. The guy who does what? He farts on camera and people love it. He gets tens of thousands of views. Why? Because he's outside of Canada, so Canadian law does not pertain to him. That's how it works. Mike, if you told the people at Rumble, oh, hi, I live in Alaska now, your numbers would go up instantaneously.
We're on American territory. So someone's saying that we have 70 people. What was it? 78 views on D Live. So I'm going to move the D Live live chat here over, Kevin, just so you guys can see. There's 117 now, and I'm going to full screen that, just so you guys know I'm not making this stuff up. There it is, 117 people watching live. We're 43 minutes in, so I'm very impressed with that, Kevin. A lot of people were telling me I was going to flop, and I was. Somebody told me earlier today that it was going to be very lucky for me if I got more than 15 people watching, but no, I honestly wholeheartedly think that people are gonna do what they can to hear the truth or find the information or be acknowledged. I do what you do. We acknowledge our subscribers. We talk to people. We look at people. We are, you know what I'm trying to say? We are like everybody in this chat on my side. I think I know almost everybody here on a personal level, either email level, called my store level, met me in person at my store level, or you know what I'm saying? So I'm not hiding from anyone. So, and that's why I think I've always been transparent with everyone because, I mean, yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
Well, Mike, you're absolutely correct, but I don't want to make this a crying, like a whining and bitching and moaning show about Rumble. Rumble is cool because it's a stable platform, but they cut our numbers back and it's deliberate. Let's move on to the next big thing here. So you're hearing a prediction now. I'm telling everybody what's coming down the pike, not pipe, as you all say, pike, coming down the pike shortly. When I say shortly, I mean between 1 and 8 months from now, there will be a complete and total ignoring of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict because there's going to be a new war coming up in Africa that I'm going to tell you about now. Let's cover a couple of quick things here. Ethiopia has been a dump for quite some time, but they've been trying their very best to build it up. Addis Ababa, the capital, which is known as the new flower of Ethiopia, they've done what they can to bring in foreign contractors to teach them how to build multi-story buildings. And Addis Ababa is beginning to look pretty modern. So congratulations to the Ethiopians on that. But they still have this reprehensible culture of tribalism that is absolutely ruining them. And they figured, the government of Ethiopia figured that if they were to do something, build a mega project of some type, it would bring their people together. Mega projects don't bring people together. They just create jobs, a lot of jobs, for a while. And then those jobs disappear when the project is done. The project in question here is what's called the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Okay, let's talk about dams, shall we? I covered a story multiple times now, and I've had millions of views on it in reference to the Three Gorges Dam in China, which has such an immense amount of water weight behind the dam that that it was recorded the planet slowed down by 0.00001 seconds per day. Of course, the flat earthers tell me that the planet's flat and doesn't rotate. Fine, you can have it your way. This dam was built on a fault. If that fault gives, then imagine that much water flowing down the Yangtze River all at one time. It's going to destroy at least 5 cities in its way. I said between 100 and 250 million Chinese will die in 1 hour or less. First, the ones that are swept away, and then the ones that drown afterwards, and then the ones that die of disease after that, because the Chinese government will not help their people. Dams, that particular dam only affects China. That's why the world's not saying or doing anything about this. And the Three Gorges Dam is not going to lead to any conflicts anywhere in the world. But the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is going to cause a war. This dam, the thing is huge, Mike, all right? They have diverted the Nile to build this thing. When the dam is complete, and it's going to be finished in the next couple of months, it's going to be 145 meters, about what, 400 feet high, which means the reservoir behind it will be 400 feet high or deep, and it's 1.7 kilometers wide. Now they have a secondary, they call it a saddle dam, and this is one down the flow of the Nile River. Big problem. I'll cover a few more things here to do with this dam that they're building. The theory that they have is that it's going to lift their economy. They're calling it tenfold. I don't know where they're getting that number from, but because more than half of the people of Ethiopia live every day without electricity, they're saying that now that the dam will be producing 5,000 megawatts, the whole country will have electricity. Well, no, that's only true if the infrastructure is in place to accommodate the distribution of electricity. Now, in Canada, the United States, we've been distributing electricity for over 150 years. Our power towers here in Alberta are what they're 200-300 feet tall, and they're getting electricity right across the province at the speed of light until they hit a transformer. But Ethiopia doesn't have a way to distribute this power. So this dam is going to go up, and it's going to hold 74 billion cubic meters of water. It'll create more electricity, but where's the electricity going to go? How is it getting into your home if you don't have power towers to get it to you? If you don't have a wire that goes in your house, and if you don't have a wire that goes to your town, think about that. So what are they building this dam for? Well, here's what it turns out. This dam is being built 34 kilometers south of the Sudan border, which means the Nile, which technically begins in Ethiopia, flows through Sudan, all the way through it, south to north, and then all the way through Egypt, south to north, ends up in the Mediterranean Sea. Egypt and Sudan, they have more than 75% of their residents along this river because they need water. And 85% of Egypt's fresh water comes out of the Nile. Egypt did not invest in desalination of ocean water. They should have. Cairo is right there on the ocean, and the Sinai Peninsula is right there. Supposedly, they want to keep people living there to keep it away from Israel. Why do they not have fresh water being generated out of the ocean? They have the money, but they're not doing it. Ethiopia is not in any way going to benefit from this dam aside from having more fresh water, but they still do not have the infrastructure to distribute it unless they're using trucks or trains.
Right.
And they don't really transport water by truck and train there. The point of this dam is to weaken the Sudanese and Egyptian economies because Ethiopia is trying to become an African power. And they figure if they start choking out people's water supply, like Israel is being accused of doing now, then Sudanese people will die and Egyptians will die. You know damn well what's going to happen. The Egyptians are going to put missiles into Ethiopia, as many as they possibly can or need to take down that main dam. They'll leave the secondary saddle dam in place, but they'll knock down the main one. Ethiopia will not tolerate this. Ethiopia has its own clique of radical Islam, its own branch of it. It's very different than Egyptian Islam, and it will become an Islamic holy war. Sudan is in the middle. The Ethiopians are not going to care. They're going to trek through Sudan, kill whoever they need to get to Egypt. Egypt will just keep launching missiles over. Now, this is a bad move for Egypt if they're still at war with Israel. Because if Egypt has to fire missiles or do whatever, any kind of particular campaign into Ethiopia, then they leave themselves wide open to an Israeli attack, which would then take back the Sinai, which is then going to involve the entire international community, which will then involve the entire Middle East, because they will call it a holy war. My God, how stupid is all of this? This is all ridiculous. This dam does not need to exist. Ethiopia should have built all the infrastructure first, then announced the dam, then made a deal to keep the water levels level properly with the other two countries. None of that has happened.
It's
Dams
like buying. It's like buying the cart before the horse.
Well, I mean, imagine everybody that you buy yourself a brand new Porsche and it gets delivered to your home, but there's no roads in this town yet. And you got to wait 40 years for the road to get built so you can turn the thing on and go for a ride. Well, that's what's happening here. So the Ethiopians are going to have this incredible feat of engineering sitting there. This dam is incredible. But there's no benefit to the people. Just because they say it's going to stimulate the economy doesn't mean, Mike, that it will. In fact, the opposite's going to happen, because now they're going to be in panic mode. The Ethiopian people are going to know about this mystery magical dam. And a lot of their tribes people down there still believe in demons and snakes and jinn and magical creatures and whatnot. So if they're not getting their fair share of this promised land's electricity, or this promised electricity, what are they going to do? They're going to blame demons and jinns and magical mythical creatures, and they're going to go to war with each other. You know, in Ethiopia, they still have enough tribes in there that fight with each other all the time that there are machete fights in the streets of Addis Ababa. It's supposed to be a modern city, but there's body parts all over it because they're killing each other with machetes. So when they don't get their fair share, it's going to happen even more. So the Ethiopians are going to be at war with Sudan and Egypt and themselves. Israel will take advantage of that, and they'll go into Egypt, and the entire Middle East is going to blame both Israel and Egypt for this, and there'll just be this ridiculous war. Now, everybody, having said what I have just said, don't panic. It's not going to be a world war. How would that be a world war? That war is not going to accidentally end up in Bonn or Berlin or London or Paris or Marseille or anywhere else. All right, that is going to be a regional Northeast African war. But you're going to be told by the media that you have to have an opinion on this. You absolutely must pick a side. And this time it's 3 countries you must pick from and not just 2. And damn it, you're all going to do it. You're all going to get on there and you're going to say free Ethiopia, and you're going to fly Ethiopian flags.
Woo!
You're not even able to spell Ethiopia.
Can I get a woo?
Fly the flags. Mike, go ahead.
Can I get a woo?
Woo!
Woo! All right, it's Mike in the Night. Kevin's on fire here tonight. He definitely had to come on. He said he had something he needed to come on, and that is a very big prediction. Holy smokes. So let me get this straight. Ethiopia building dam no good, restricting water to other countries, and dam blows up, war starts, Middle East starts to erupt. So are we going to see an Arab Spring again, or what are we going to see? Like, it's kind of bordering, it's in Africa, borderline Middle East. What are we going to see? A Western Spring, Kevin? We've been talking about a Western Spring on Mike in the Night since 2017. When are we going to see the West start to build up and go back to the year of the protest like 2019? When is the West going to start to say, you know what? F you governments, F you banking system, F you, F you, F you. When are we going to see a Western Spring?
In Canada, you're not. I'll tell you why. Because every single time someone like myself or yourself comes out and says something that's true, and we explain to people, you're going to be in trouble, and here's 5 reasons why, and here's my 7,500 pages of evidence, they call us what? Conspiracy theorists. Or they'll say, oh, they click. You're just being silly. Oh, like, what is it with you? Oh my God.
Racist.
Why don't you just watch the hockey game and have a beer? Like, I've had it with this. So I'm limiting the amount of time that I spend making public appearances across Canada or across Alberta right now, because first off, it's not getting into anybody's head. That's number 1. And number 2, this so-called freedom movement, everybody's backstabbing everybody else now. All right. I mean, I'm still in good contact and good graces of Pastor Archer Pawlowski, Pat King, and there's one more. Sorry, Chris Sky. But everybody else is just crisscrossing, bad talking each other, and so on. So how could I possibly get my message out to their audiences? Right? Everyone thinks that this audience I have on my little podcast is mine. And Kevin, you're not going to say anything to these fans of mine because I'll lose them. That's how they think. So the bad talking or the bad mouthing, the backstabbing has started, which is great for the government, because if we independent podcasters can't get along, or we're bad mouthing each other, or we are rumor milling each other, then there's even less opportunity for Canadians to hear the truth from guys like you and I. All right. And I'm going through this garbage right now. I'm not going to name the person, but I am very disappointed in one particular individual whose back I had for 3 straight years. This particular individual has chosen to start calling me the most insane names and insulting my family because he says that I support Israel because I made 5 videos asking people about why they support Palestine. But I didn't say I chose a side. In fact, I said the exact opposite. So we now have the Freedom Fighters of Canada, which is not many, arguing over Palestine, Israel. Now, I don't want to swear in your show, and I'm not going to. But I think a lot of you know Tariq Fatah, especially if you're in the province of Ontario. Tariq Fatah is an Indian Muslim. Oh, he passed away recently, but he's an Indian Muslim who was dead set against the Islamic takeover of Canada. And he was very vocal on this. And he and I, we did a 5-hour interview at his house. And it was one of the best things that I ever did interview-wise. So Tariq Fatah, I asked him a question about what is it that we can all do about the ongoing strife in northern African nations like Morocco and Libya. And he just comes right out. He says, F Africa. What are you going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? What's anybody in Canada or the United States going to do about it? That's Africa's problem. And this was coming from an Indian man who had obviously had a lot of time to think about answers like this. And I'm going to say the same thing. The hell with Sudan. What can I do about Sudan? The hell with Ethiopia. What can I do? What can any of you watching right now do for or against Ethiopia if the Egyptians blow up their dam? What are you going to do?
I think
food prices are going to be double by that point. Are you going to protest grocery stores?
Let me tell you.
You won't.
Let me tell you what we have to do. We have to re-regulate the banking system. We need to adjust interest rates to hedge against inflation. We need to get in a more transparent, better written charter of rights and freedoms, or we need to get off the crown. We need to get off the British crown. There's a lot of things we need to do here at home before we care about what happens in Ethiopia and in Israel and Russia. We need to reenact I think we need to break. I think Canada needs to break up in several independent sovereign countries and enact certain and different, like how every state in America is unified by the union, but every state could ratify or change or go against at a federal level. But the Supreme Court now is overruling. So it's a mess now. But Canada needs to, again, re-regulate the banking system, stop the money laundering, deport all the illegals. They did it to the Portuguese in 2007 and 8. So just enact the Portuguese deportation law for all people that are illegal in Canada, and just follow the draconian measures that they did in Ontario to Portuguese people. And then just keep doing that, because it's already been done in Canada. It's not like we're making this up. It's already been done. And just follow the laws that are already in place, re-regulate the banks. There's a lot of things we could do to fix this country, first and foremost, before we care about what happens in Sudan and wherever.
Correct, Mike. And everybody in this country has to really grow up and accept the fact that you're just not as smart as you think that you are. And this is something that, and I'm not saying people watching our show are dumb, but I'm saying the average Canadian out there, let's talk about the millions that are not watching right now. They all think that they're friggin' geniuses. And they all think that they hold the moral majority and the moral authority of this nation. And they cannot be more wrong, because what the average person in Canada, especially Canada, will utter stupid things like this moron in my chat room is here right now, stating that Canada is a multicultural country. Isn't it great? No, it's not. Obviously, it's failed miserably, because when a new culture comes to your country, the rules and the laws change to accommodate them and to destroy you. Now, quite frankly, I preferred Canada the way it was in the 70s and the 80s, because everybody knew where they stood. We knew that our culture was the backyard barbecue. Our culture was Thanksgiving and Halloween and the winter harvest, Christmas, New Year's, Ash Wednesday, all these things. We knew these were our culture. And then 5,000 plus religions show up, and now the laws and the rules change to accommodate all of them. And then we're being told that our culture is offensive to them. And because we're multicultural, we need to accommodate the new ones coming in here, even if they don't contribute. Right. And then I say some cultures just plain suck, and some cultures are better than others. Do you know what stupid left-wing Canadians hear? White people are the best in the world. White supremacists. They hear these things that I am not saying, and I get scolded for that. And I don't care about the scoldings at all. But what I care about is that the average person is not hearing what's actually being said. And that is a very big problem, because now they're not listening to me, because they're hearing things that aren't there, like these cuckoo ideas they've got, and they're turning to the CBC instead for news. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation has been poisoning the minds of people in this country for about 4 or 5 decades. It's all lies, it's all trash, and it's all left-wing, pro-pedophilia garbage. And Canadians are putting up with it. They're not looking for an alternate. So if you're suggesting to me that Canadians will do anything to help themselves, even when food prices double and the bank rate goes to 9%, the answer is no. Of course, they're not going to protest at all. They'll protest on behalf of Palestine, but they won't protest to save themselves. How stupid are you, Canada?
They won't protest the Bank of Canada. They won't protest the fiat monetary system they put us on. They won't protest the federalization of our food, the federalization of our transport, the federalization of our everything. Everything is becoming more and more federalized. They're going to be federalizing the entire country. I mean, you're going to need face scans and palm scans to get to the next block over. To walk over to the next block, you're going to have to do facial recognition scans. And they have the cameras already up on the corners in London and other cities. In Melbourne, Australia, they put up a ton of cameras all over the place. Same thing in Auckland, New Zealand. They did the same thing in London is the pioneer of the camera system. They started, I remember when I was a kid, back in the early 90s, London was putting up cameras everywhere. Now they've updated them so they're all digital now. They have facial recognition. Heck, a lot of these cameras nowadays, Kevin, could even tell your temperature if you're sick.
This is going to happen in Canada first, in Southwest Edmonton, everybody. I've been all over Southwest Edmonton explaining, or not explaining, but showing people the reverse domes that are there to track cell phone signals, all the cameras they're putting on every single intersection. All of the devices, period. Hold on a second here. Somebody is trying to log into my Gmail address. Interesting. Somebody from Toronto was trying to log into my Gmail address. Isn't that interesting? So I just blocked it, and I have to change the password. Give me a second here. This is crazy. Hey, this kind of crap is happening all the time. People trying to hack things and so on. Unbelievable. So what'll happen with Southwest Edmonton being the capital city of Alberta? I don't think the average Edmontonian understands what a 15-minute city is. They don't get the fact that Edmonton is a massive city land-wise, like bigger than most in the world land-wise, but you're going to be controlled in this massive plot of land. So when you're driving your car from Costco and you cross over what's called the Anthony Henday Highway, and then you proceed to go to West Edmonton Mall, you're going to cross over 2 zones. And you're going to get a ticket in the mail saying you crossed over. So it'll be $8, $8, and then $8 back. Think about that, everyone. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Do you know how I know? Because Ontario, the province of Ontario, already did this. It already did this back when I was in my early 20s. They built a highway in Ontario called Highway 407, and then they called it ETR, Express Toll Route. This
Yes, they
highway
did.
was built with tax dollars. It's the most expensive toll route in the Western world. All right, and they scan your camera, or sorry, they use cameras to scan your plate when you get on. And if the scanner doesn't read your plate, they've got guys using Photoshop. These cameras were shooting in 4K before anyone knew what 4K was. No one did anything about it. People were getting bills in the mail of thousands of dollars for driving on this highway just to be able to avoid traffic and do business. I found a loophole, and I got warning letters from ETR that I widely ignored and mocked them for. But I said that what you guys can do is you can register the vehicle in a numbered corporation that your corporation owns, drive the thing until the license plate expires after 2 years, and then sell the vehicle to another numbered corporation with a different plate, and you don't have to pay that bill. And 407 was telling me that I was helping people break the law. And I said, no, you're the ones that broke the law by committing fraud. I'm telling them how to protect themselves from you. But Canadians didn't protest. And then the company was sold to Spain, a Spanish company. So
That's correct.
All right. So that means the highway is private property. Why in the hell is the Ontario Provincial Police Department driving up and down private property, giving people tickets? How could you possibly give speeding tickets out on private property? Wow.
Yeah.
And Canadians don't even fight this stuff in court. So if you're asking me, will Canadians fight? No, they won't. They'll just pay the fines and be done with it.
Yes, that's exactly what they do. They're very docile when it comes to these certain things. And that's just how it is, Kevin. I mean, like you said, when I asked if there's going to be a west rise or a Western spring where people are just going to topple governments and take over, we were headed towards that in 2019. Then those guys pulled the trigger on the pandemic, but we were headed towards that.
Mm-hmm.
Then they pulled the trigger on the pandemic because things were getting out of control in Hong Kong. Chile was falling apart. Argentina was protesting. France was protesting 70, 80 weeks with the yellow vest. You had the whole world protesting. We were seeing a Western spring in action, and then they pulled the trigger on the pandemic, and that's it. Game over.
Yeah, but the problem is when they pulled the pandemic is that the public fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. Nobody used any deductive reasoning on that whatsoever. And deductive reasoning would have been this. Since they were showing us video footage of people dying just like that, should we not have seen at least one person in Canada get sick from this and die right in front of us? Where were all the dead bodies on the ground that China apparently had that we were told that we were going to have? There weren't any at all. And nobody utilized deductive reasoning to think, hey, maybe there's something going on here that's a bit deeper than we think. Maybe it's just a lie. They did not reason that out for themselves, and everybody played along with it. Now, I was married at the time, and the funniest thing I ever did is I've got a beautiful Bluetooth speaker like this. It's got a strap for your arm. It's loud. It really is good. All right. And with a full charge, it can go for 11 hours straight. So we go to Costco, Mike, it was May, during that pandemic, the first May of the pandemic. And they had built this little maze out of wooden skids and told people to walk through this pattern. And everyone did. Everybody did. And then they were told, when you get 100 feet from the building, put the mask on. And everybody did. So I went on my phone and I found the Soviet national anthem. And I stood there like this. And with the left-handed salute. And nobody got the joke. I was there with my wife at the time. She's pulling my shirt. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. You're going to get us in trouble. No, I'm not. I'm proving a point. Everybody here is a coward and they're stupid. They just don't get the joke. Do they not know the Soviet national anthem? Because that's all we heard at the Olympics. The Soviets just used to win everything, including the Canada Cup and whatever other international hockey tournaments there were. They always won. We all knew the anthem. No one got the joke. Pathetic. Stupid. So they'll do it again. there'll be climate lockdowns next year, and people will go for it. They'll do what they're told. No matter what I say, they're going to do what they're told.
Go back to my Mike in the Night on YouTube. I think it's still there. I don't think it's been taken down by medical misinformation, but we did call a climate lockdown back in 2016 on Mike in the Night. It's there. The video's up. Climate lockdowns as governments lose grip on society. And it's all tied to money laundering, deregulation of bank, fiat currencies. It's all tied to all of it. It's all tied to financial reasoning, why we're in this position, and bringing in tens of scores of immigrants to come in and buy these homes that are severely overly inflated. We created empty shells of our cities, and people are mass exodusing. It's a nightmare. It's an absolute total nightmare that we've put ourselves into. Especially, everything really started around in Canada, started around 2012 hard after the Vancouver Olympics kicked off in, was it 2010 Olympics? Was it 2010 in Vancouver or 2012?
Around there.
Yeah, it was that Olympics. It was after that Olympics. I knew things weren't things. I knew things were going really bad in Canada. I knew it. You could see it. You could see it falling apart.
Well, we did see it falling apart, and it has fallen apart. I don't think that the average Canadian understands that their country is dead, almost right now, irreversibly. And everyone says to themselves that thank God we have Danielle Smith as the premier of Alberta. Think, well, why? Why thank God? I understand that she's a politician, and when the World Economic Forum comes calling and offers her a massive retirement plan, she'll go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what makes you think that some woman is your savior? What makes you think some guy, Pierre Poilievre, is your savior? Let's say he does win the federal election and becomes prime minister. Will he do what's necessary? Let me tell you what's necessary. He should immediately take control of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation and put out every piece of propaganda he possibly can, belittling the Democrats in the States and the Liberals in Canada and the NDP. He should then take complete control of the RCMP and do something smart, like give them all a bonus of 20 grand and tell them, here, there are arrest warrants now for the following people. Justin Trudeau, right off the top, the Governor General, Chrystia Freeland, find them all. Even some of the former premiers that cause these problems. Jason Kenney is one of them. Go get them, boys, and let's lock them up, and we will deny them bail, keep them in prison for 2 years like they've done to the Coots boys here in Alberta, and then give them show trials. And then, while they are locked up without bail, change the laws for high treason to death by firing squad and bring them out. That's what a real man would do. Could you imagine if Pierre Poilievre actually had that kind of balls?
He won't do it. He's not allowed. We made a video about it 2 years ago, or we made our first video when he started making more appearances 2 years ago. And I said, he can't do nothing because, one, he's going to have to stop the money laundering if he wants to fix Canada's housing problem. Yep. Two, he's going to have to re-regulate the banking system. And three, he's going to have to cut 80% of the public sector work if he wants to balance the books. That's the video I made 2 years ago, a question to Pierre Poilievre, but he never responded to it, of course. As a Canadian living in a small town, small business owner, he's not addressing my concerns of what he's saying. And that was 2 years ago. And then now there's nobody coming to save us, Kevin. It's us. We need to save ourselves and prepare, buy food, water, prepare, get a bug out bag, be prepared for the worst of the worst, because if it happens, at least you were tipped off. You knew ahead of time, but no one's coming to save us, brother. I'm sorry.
Well, that you know what, right there, Mike, that's where you hit it, is that everybody thinks that someone's coming to save them. And not only that, but the average person believes it's someone else's responsibility to save them. And you just cannot get the philosophy into their heads that it's no one's job but yours to keep you thin. It's not McDonald's fault. It's yours that you're fat. It's no one's fault that you decide to put cocaine up your nose. And it's nobody's fault that you decide to shoot someone in the head because they're sleeping with your wife. These are all choices that we all make. And you are entirely responsible for those choices. And the other big thing, Mike, is that we're getting to the point now where there are a lot of angry people in the country who honestly now, because of Justin Trudeau's policies and mass imprisonments around the country, they honestly not only think they have nothing to lose, but they honestly have nothing to lose. So you can expect that there in the next 5 years, there will be heinous, violent acts committed against police and politicians and court staff. It's just going to happen. I'm not encouraging it because that would be against the law. And I don't condone it because that's also against the law, but it's going to happen. It is going to happen.
Like we said on this show, we stole a little phrase from the movie Fast and Furious 5. And the phrase goes, when you dominate people with violence and they have nothing to lose, all they have is just to fight back. When people lose it and they have nothing, what do they have? They just fight back. They lose it. And we stole that from a movie called Fast and Furious 5. And that quote has been going around multiple channels. But when you dominate people with violence and they have nothing to lose, what do? And in Canada's sake, it would be when you dominate people with taxation, lies, and media lies. And yes, violence by migrants coming in illegally and basically stabbing us on public transit. And people have nothing to lose because they're working 2 jobs and living in a tent. People will fight back. And that's just the recourse. That it just takes that pattern.
Well, that is correct. And there is another saying out there, and this is the one that maybe everybody who's behaving themselves like a criminal in this country should probably pay attention to. And this is not encouragement. It's just a statement of fact, is that violence is the one great arbiter available to all human beings, regardless of social standing, period. And when you have millions of broke people and there is no middle class for there to be something to climb into,
right?
You better be rest assured the broke will turn to violence. And when they do, it's not going to be nice. It's going to be a very gross type of violence. I'm not going to describe what type of violence we're talking about here, but I've been to violent regions in the world, and I have seen the end result of desperate people who have nothing left. It is not pretty, and nobody will be spared. I would not, Mike, I'll tell you this right now. It's not a threat to anybody. I just would not personally want to be a government employee for any branch of government today at all. I just wouldn't, because I know that I would be bearing the brunt of people's frustrations and rage. Period.
I'm not too far off stating that 2024 will be the year of government sanctioned murder. Watch out. I've been saying that for a while now.
Yes, and while we talked about this, you're going to allow it to happen, Canada. You're not going to stop it. Like I say, you'll get distracted by the next war, the Ethiopian, Sudan, Egyptian war that's coming, and you'll fly one of their flags and get mad at me that I'm not going to pick a side in that one either. I won't. But you won't be protesting food prices. However, you'll be on TikTok, and this is where I get really pissed off with you, Canada. I get aggravated. I'm starting to say things like I don't sympathize anymore. Now, it's not entirely true. I do, but there's everyone going on TikTok, mostly women, crying about food prices. I'm working 2 jobs and I can't make ends meet. I make $35 an hour and I can't afford it. Like, okay, what are you doing about it? Are you organizing protests? No, the answer is no. Here's what Canadians like to do, is they like to go to work and they like to go home and watch their Netflix or their stupid hockey game or whatever happens to be on. So a protest will take you away from your stupid hockey game. What did the Toronto Maple Leafs ever do for you or the public at all? They are a for-profit, greedy for-profit corporation that are not only into sports, but they're into real estate and they're into hoarding their money. Why are you wasting your time with that? You should be outside of your local Sobeys or co-op or No Frills. Pick one. It doesn't matter. Cage them in with your bodies. Protest that. Tell them you want a reduction of food prices to what they were in 2005. Because at least then they were still expensive, but they were affordable. And let me piss everybody off again, Mike. I got to tell you this. I worked in grocery stores from age 14 to about age 20. Grocery stores are not designed to make money by selling you food. They don't make money on that. They make money on stocking fees. So if Coca-Cola wants to be at the head height of the average person, which means that they want to be on the 3rd or 4th shelf, they have to pay, let's say, $20,000 per foot per store. All right. And then they can have their Coke products and whatever else Coca-Cola owns. Like, I think it's Fanta, whatever it might be. Coke will get that. So imagine now you're in a grocery store and you think to yourself architecturally, how do I design my grocery store to have 200 aisles Each one's 40 feet long. So I can charge $20,000 per month per foot of shelf space in this store. So you'll notice that the design of grocery stores is changing to have multiple aisles per aisle. All right. So right now I've noticed a lot of grocery stores in Calgary, they have one aisle and it's about 90 feet long. But now you'll notice that there are aisles that are 45 and 45 and 45, but it's still the same long aisle. So they're making more money by turning one aisle into three, and saying that this is the big aisle here. Now, the other thing is the end cap. So, you know, when you have the end of an aisle, you've got shelving space that faces outwards into the floor space. That's called an end cap. If a company wants to promote itself, it has to buy that end cap and only gets it for a week at a time. So the store has made millions from suppliers like Kraft, Coke, Pepsi, Kellogg's, whomever. They've made millions just on the stocking fees. And that's before a single product is even in the store. I used to, when I was 18, I worked for Food Emporium. So for those who know Mississauga, Eaton Sheridan Place, formerly known as Sheridan Mall. That was the grocery store that started off this luxury thing. Like it was kind of the precursor to the modern day Whole Foods. It was a fancier grocery store. I would throw out the better part of 100 to 200 pounds of meat once or twice a shift. Right? The store was open from 8 in the morning until something like 10 o'clock at night. My shift would be anywhere between 6 and 8 hours. Once or twice a shift, I would go to the meat counter and just grab meat, like 100 pounds of it, more, and throw it away. It didn't even expire for at least 3 or 4 more days. You figured the staff could at least take it home and cook it. Nope, they threw it out. They threw this stuff away. Then there was the frozen food aisle. We'd go through all the frozen food that was in there. And if it was within 10 days of expiration, Mike, we had to throw it out. So half the freezer would be thrown out. Then we had to go through the canned goods and throw them out. The garbage compactor that the store had was a 40-foot long by 8-foot wide, 8 feet high. And this thing was replaced once a day. And it was all good food that was being thrown into that compactor. The occasional broken glass or the occasional garbage bag and so on. But it was 99% good food in that garbage compactor. And we were not allowed to give it to the homeless. The Salvation Army couldn't have it. The church groups couldn't have it. Nobody could have it. The low-income people, they couldn't have it at all. Made me sick to my stomach. It really got on my nerves. Now, let me tell you, there's a bit more to that. I hated this woman. Her name was Nancy Spadafora. She was the lead cashier for this store. She was an Italian woman with a very thick mustache. She thought she was good looking. She wasn't. She thought she was a catch. She wasn't. She just happened to be married to an Italian guy who owned a construction company. So he was a multimillionaire. She worked as the head cashier in this place because she was rich and spoiled because of her husband, not her. She had a complete and total disdain for poor people. And I'll never forget this. I've got a meat tray of this big round bin, and I'm throwing good meat into it. And this homeless guy walks in there, and he's shoving steaks into his jacket. And she loses her mind. How dare this dirty, filthy human being come in Food Emporium and steal our meat? And I said to her, but I'm throwing that stuff out in 5 minutes. Who cares if he has it? So he takes off. She screams at me and 2 other guys to chase this guy along with the store manager. Now, I wasn't going to catch him. I was just running because, you know why? I hated the job, and this is fun. All right, that's all that it was. This guy's pretty nimble. He jumps over a fence. I jump over a fence, and I'm there, and he's huffing and puffing, and he picks up a rock. I said, dude, relax. It's okay. I don't care. I'm not trying to catch you. I was throwing that meat out. It's yours, man. I'll just say I couldn't find you. All right, that's it. So I said, go that way because there's 3 guys behind me. And he did. And that was the end of it. And I come back with a big smile on my face. Well, guys, he got away. Damn it. Right? I was so appalled by this woman. I mean, now I'm 18, witnessing this spoiled brat woman screaming and ranting and raving and frothing at the mouth because some homeless guy who was hungry stole food I was throwing away. I was so mad about her reaction that I keyed her car a whole bunch of times when I was 18. I shouldn't have done that, but I was mad, man.
Wow.
And I'm just saying that's how we think, is that this food's going to get thrown out, and store policy dictates we must throw it out. And if some homeless guy is going to steal it, we have to hate him. No, we don't. I hate the store that's throwing away good food and won't share it with the public. I hate that. I hated Food Emporium for that. We owned by Dominion Food Stores. And the same thing is happening today. I'm in Walmart, and this guy walks over with a garbage pail. Now, in Walmart and Sobeys and Co-op and all the stores out here, they have chickens that they roast. It's a full chicken. They sell them for about $11, and they're not bad. It's convenient to go and grab one of these roasted chickens and take it home. But every 3 hours, they grab all the chickens that didn't sell and they throw them away. They throw them away, and they put them in the garbage bin out back, but then they lock the bin so the homeless can't go in there and get these chickens. So even Walmart is guilty today in 2023 of what Food Emporium and Dominion and Miracle Food Mart were guilty of back in 1988, 1989. It is absolutely disgusting that we go out of our way to produce all this stuff, and then we throw away more than half of what's in the store with no regard to who could actually use it. This is all about corporate greed and just a massive amount of the conning of our public. We are lying to our public, telling them food's expensive because COVID interfered with our shipping lanes and whatnot. Gas is more expensive, so we have to upcharge you. No, gas is not more expensive. It's back down to $1.30 right now a liter here in Alberta. It's the same price it was before COVID. No, it has nothing to do with supply lines being hurt. We still have trains, we still have trucks, we still have delivery companies. And now more than ever, we have more delivery companies than ever before because of things like Uber Eats and Lyft Eats and Skip the Dishes and all these companies. If you want something delivered, you're going to get it delivered, man. The infrastructure's here for it. You've all been lied to, Canada. Period. Food's expensive because they know they can get away with it. They've been instructed to hurt you with pricing, and they're doing it, and no one's protesting. But you just can't wait to protest on behalf of Israel, which is a land that was never once designated as a country by any other institution around the world. Mike, you're up.
That's it. Yeah, you pretty much covered that in a nutshell, and you covered your prediction very clear as day. So you could clip that out, and if that may happen, we might see an African conflict. And what else? What else did you covered a lot of stuff here tonight on Mike in the Night? This is the longest. You're one of the longest guests I've ever had on. An hour and 17 minutes.
Well, I can go on all night. This is a matter of, I know what's wrong with our country, but I have to come full circle on my entire argument about what's really wrong with this country. All right? You, Canada, you're not doing anything to help yourselves. You're all expecting someone else to fix this problem for you. Oh, thank God we have Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta. She's going to save us. No, she's not. Grocery prices have gone up more than 30% since she took office. What is she doing for you? All right? Pierre Poilievre, he's going to save us from Justin Trudeau. No, he's not. How could he? It would take him 4 terms just to get the country turned around a little bit. And he's also a supporter of the World Economic Forum. What do you think that the next prime minister is going to do to help you? Nothing. Who has to help you? You. God damn it, Mike. People are just so stupid. They really do think that it's not their responsibility to help themselves and fix their own communities. Now, I'll rant about one more thing, because I want you to understand thought processes and how your own thoughts, Canada, screw you, and screw you large. I scolded a very dear friend of mine. Now, not in any particular serious manner, but it was still a lecture that I gave. This individual said he wants to buy a house. Great. You're probably not going to be able to afford it in Canada, but I certainly hope you find a way. He says, I want to buy a bungalow. I offered my opinion that I hate bungalows. I like the bedrooms on the top floor so that people on the ground floor can hear me when I'm in bed with someone. All right. Yeah, they can hear the bed moving. All right. That's a joke. But he says to me, well, he wants a bungalow so that when he's old, he does not have to traverse stairs. Boom, my mind went, are you kidding me? You're telling me at age 41 that you want to buy a house without stairs so that you can give up in your 60s. If you think this way, if you're honestly buying a house in your 40s so you don't have to climb stairs when you're 60, you've already given up on life. Period. Are you crazy speaking to me like that? Look at Donald Trump. He'll be 80 years old shortly. This guy is walking by himself all over the country, shaking hands with absolutely everybody. You think because you're 60, you have to give up on life? It's that kind of mentality. I'm buying a crappy house without stairs because I want to be a friggin' loser when I'm in my 60s.
Yeah.
Like, who predicts the fact that they're not going to be able to climb steps 20 years down the road? My God, you people. That's the kind of thinking that holds you back.
Pathetic.
That holds us back as a nation, and it holds us all back as a species. All right? I deadlifted 500 pounds a couple of weeks ago, and I put that on Instagram and Facebook, and I showed everyone that I could do it at age 52, not to show off, but to inspire you to be better. Do you think for a second that I'm going to be terrified of stairs when I'm 70 years of age?
I hope not.
I'll be climbing them deliberately to make sure that I stay in shape. That kind of thinking has buried us as a nation. Period. Mike, go ahead.
That's yeah. I did a video a ways back. When was it? I think it was in 2015, where a girl was telling me that she's given up on buying a car because it's too expensive. But hold on, you live in Canada, so you're not gonna buy. You're 13, and you're gonna be. And when you turn 16, you're already given up on buying a car. You're already given up. You've never even tried. You never even attempted or anything. And then now you're already telling us that by the time you turn 16, you'll never be able to afford, and then you won't be able to afford a house. Then you won't be able to afford anything. It's already that mentality, and younger people are being massaged into believing that they are basically already out Schitt's Creek before they even get up the creek. And that's the problem we're facing today, is people are already giving up before they get to the fight. They're already losing the fight before they go to the fight. The fight's already lost. And that's the scary part of it.
Yes, and Mike, I got to go a couple steps further here with that. The number of weak men out there it's repugnant to me. I won't hang around beta cuck males because they have no capacity to build me up, even if they are good friends of mine. They only have a capacity to tear me down. And what I want to say to all you beta cuck males out there is, what do you think the benefit to you is going to be by being a left-wing loser who's weak and doesn't work out and criticizes guys like me who do work out? Yeah, I've been criticized for being hyper masculine. That's a compliment, by the way, being hyper masculine, but I'm criticized for it. You probably hear me all the time whenever we have a nice lady on our show. I'll tell them, you're looking great, you look beautiful as always, whatever it might be. And what happens? Oh my God, you can't compliment women. Who do you think you are? That's sexist. And that's coming from men, not women, by the way. Now, and regardless of what you loser males have to say on this issue, a beautiful woman is going to be told by me that she's beautiful. All right. And if she tells me, don't you dare compliment me, I know she's a loser, and I'll say, thank you very much for your time, duster. I'll never talk to her again. This is how we as men can judge what's good for us and what is not. But we have, and I am talking to that Paul guy, the beta cuck in the chat room, by the way. But we have this contingent, we'll call them army of really weak men who want to be humiliated, who want to have women treat them like crap. Did you see the video that was taking place downtown Manchester, where this girl, 25-year-old girl, has this beta cuck loser on a dog leash? She's got him dressed up in a pink skirt, and he's down on his knees in the public square. He's got his mouth open, and she's ashing her cigarette in his mouth. And he loves it.
What?
And he says that all men need to be like this. We need to be subservient to women. Now, you have no idea, gentlemen, how wrong that statement truly is. No, we are the men. We are the ones that need to recognize the fact that if we want things done, we have to take charge and get it done right this second. And when a woman is being disrespectful, we excuse them from the activity, period. Or if you're like me, I have no patience for disrespect whatsoever. A disrespectful woman will be excused from my life permanently. I'm not putting up with it because I don't have to. There's no benefit to we as men tolerating disrespect from women at all. What benefit is it, guys? You answer me now in the chat room, you beta cucks who are watching. What advantage do you have allowing women to disrespect you and flick ashes on you and swear at you and spit at you and hit you? All right? Go on, because I'll tell you right now, there's none. It crushes you in every way. And if you say that you like being humiliated, that's probably a mental illness of some type. You need to seek help immediately. But of course, when I say these things, I'm a misogynist. When I say this stuff, I hate women. That's what they say, right? Well, it's not true, guys. I love ladies. You ladies who watch me on the show, you know how much I adore you. But you also know how much I adore good manners and respect. And I will treat disrespect from women. I won't treat it with respect. I'll treat it with my absence. I'm not going to raise my voice, not going to throw things, not going to hit them. I'm just going to walk away. And it's going to be on a permanent basis because I've got self-respect. And these young men don't have self-respect. They're allowing women to walk all over them. Oh, I'm sorry, not women. We'll call them females, angry females, because real women don't talk to men like that. And ladies, especially, don't talk to men like that. And, it's almost where I have to tell young men who are in their late 20s, early 30s, forget about dating chicks your age. Find women who are 40 and up because they have manners. Right? That's if you want a woman with manners, date that age bracket and up.
Sorry, my soundboard here is on the fritz. I don't know. I got a few pages keep refreshing here. I don't know what's going on. We're getting complaints about the glitching is out of control here tonight on the show. I'm really sorry about that, folks. So what we could do is we'll put up a replay when I get some time through the week. I'll put the replay of the show for you guys. But I'm sorry if there is glitching. It's better to actually have the stream up and running than not have no stream at all running. So let me just put it that way. I'll put it in that way. Let's just say it's best that we have this at least as a minimum.
Yeah, I don't know why it glitches. Maybe it's a problem with OBS software. Maybe it's a problem with Skype.
There's a lot of people saying that everything's running fine on HD. There's someone that's watching this on their Xbox. It's running perfectly. And the only person that's having a major problems is Dr. Mysterio. He's saying there's no audio. It's glitching like McDonald's French fries. It's not working properly. So I'm not sure what to do. There's a lot of people saying it's working fine. So.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to hear that. Folks, when we think about how these broadcasts are done, I'm on StreamYard, which is a broadcast software. But Mike is utilizing his PC on a different program called OBS. I'm restreaming what Mike is streaming. And then on top of all that, Mike, your software is restreaming and my software is restreaming. So there's about 5 different restreams before it gets to you folks. And there's no other way to do it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Let's just revel in the fact that we can have a show like this on the internet and not get shot for it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yet.
That's right.
Yes. All right. And I noticed as soon as I talked about women being disrespectful, boom, about 25, 30 people just left the room.
Yeah.
And again, that stems from this weakness in our society. Everybody is absolutely dying to find a way to get offended. And everyone's dying to find a way to fail. And everyone's dying to find a way to not participate in self-betterment. So it's easier to blame McDonald's for them being fat. Like I said, it's easier to blame you, Mike, for making them think. It's easier to blame me for, I guess, making them feel bad about the fact that they are not as fit as they possibly could be. This is a matter of everyone's going to find somebody else to blame. It's not just women that do this, guys. It's you too. And I know because I talk to a lot of people. And if you want to see how crazy everybody's become, go to my Instagram page right now and have a look at the last 6 videos I put out and look at the commentary that's within them. The number of people who tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about And how dare this white man speak on behalf of Palestinians? I'm not. You're saying that I speak on behalf of Palestinians. I don't make that declaration. You guys do. Trust me, to my detractors out there, I'm smarter than you. I know more than you. I've done more with my life than you have. And I enjoy, in general, humanity more than you ever will. And you don't understand that. And I'll just make this commentary here because you're probably wanting to get rid of me shortly here. But I'll never quite forget it. That is Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie went through my medical records and my family's medical records at Credit Valley Hospital in Mississauga and found out that, we had a son that died. What happened is the hospital took photos because they got to keep everything on record, apparently for 12 years. I don't know why 12 years is the magic number. But someone got a hold of that picture and put ha 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 on a laser printed version of that photograph of my dead child and stuck it in my mailbox Christmas Eve 2018, all to try to silence me, to get me not to talk on this show or your show or anyone's show any longer. And I did say something, and I'm going to repeat it now. For you left-wing nuts who did this, even though I had only 1 second, my boy had 1 second of life before he died in my hand. I still love him. He'd be 5 years old today. I still feel nothing but love for that child. I wrote poems on the prison walls that they had me. When they put me in prison, I wrote poems to him for the other prisoners who would follow up after I had left that cell. They got a chance to read what a man's love for a child really is. And here is the thing, that you left-wingers out there who do these things to people on the conservative side of the argument, you clearly do not understand what love is. You don't get it. And I actually feel very, very sorry for you that you're never going to know what it feels like to still have love for somebody who never got a chance to breathe on their own 5 years later. I bask in the love that I feel for my dead child. Bask in it. Its warmness. And once in a while, Mike, my brain plays tricks on me, and I have dreams of playing with my 5-year-old son, who would be 5 today. And I feel nothing but love when I wake up. And there's tears in my eyes when it happens, but I feel nothing but love. And these Black Lives Matter, Antifa idiots, these far left LGBTQs and whatnot, they don't get it. They don't feel love for other people. They don't feel love for themselves. They don't know what it's like to embrace somebody and be warmed by it. They have no clue what it's like to not waste your time with devices like your phone and your computer and your Xbox and everything else, and just hug someone that you love and have that person show you they love you by hugging you back. They don't know what that feels like, man. And I feel terrible for them. If they could experience that type of love that you and I do on a daily basis, they would join us on the conservative side of the argument, because they would know that there's actually something worth fighting for.
Right.
Right? They're fighting for someone else's ideology. They don't even know whose. They don't get it.
Yeah.
So too bad for them. You guys can keep insulting me online. You can keep throwing nasty photographs at me all you want. You can keep calling me racist or Islamophobic or whatever else. It ain't going to work. It's not going to stop me under no circumstances. Thank you, Liz. I appreciate that. Look what I get there in my chat room from real fans, from real human beings. That's what I revel in, period. And I've got some clown named Paul Peters in the chat room here mocking me for all of this. No problem. Paul is one of these individuals I just talked about here. Doesn't understand the human animal. Doesn't understand the human condition. Never will. Never will. I'll keep feeling love. You keep feeling hate. You have that right. Which one of us is going to be happier with their loved ones surrounding them on their deathbed? You or me? I know what the answer is. Yeah, there we go. And you're right, everybody. Love is the key to happiness.
It is.
Correct? And the younger generation, they're trying their very best to live some kind of Truman Show, Ed TV, fantasy life by going out on Kick and on TikTok and whatnot and breaking the law and just generally being a pain in the ass, not achieving anything of value.
There was a guy the other day on social media that was going around punching people in the back of the head and making videos to get likes.
Yes. And he's now facing aggravated battery, assault with a weapon, and robbery charges. So he's probably going away for 5 to 10 years. Well, how stupid could you possibly be to film yourself committing a crime?
Mm-hmm.
Can we not maybe have a little bit of intelligent thought out there? Is it too much to ask for you to comprehend the difference between right and wrong? Internet clout is going to get you jail time these days. And I think, Mike, you were alluding to this. The pendulum that swung so far left is now swinging back to the right.
Yeah, we're in the aftermath, and we're in week 22 of the aftermath.
There we are. And for those left, I've got some detractors in the chat room right here telling me I'm lying to the public and whatnot. It doesn't matter. Guys, I share stories of my life with my audience and with all of you so that you have a point of reference as to the things I've done right, but also to the mistakes I've made and how I've corrected those mistakes and how I even recognize them as mistakes in the first place, because I want to be better. But I also would like everybody else out there to be better and maybe benefit from these errors and judgments that I've made, Mike, that you've made, and that they've made, so that we can all find a way not to necessarily coalesce or coexist peacefully, but to at least find a way to have internal peace. It would be better if every human being out there had a little bit of personal peace, because then we'd have fewer problems. We'd have fewer neighbors being upset with each other about the color of their front door. We'd have fewer people saying, I don't like you because your wife is better looking than mine. We wouldn't care about these things because we'd all have our own internal peace. Now, that's a pie in the sky dream. I know that it's not going to happen for 100% of the population. But Mike, if you and I can touch even one person, who then goes out and improves their community, things like that can have a cascading effect that will change the world. There we go.
Yeah. All right, Kevin. We've been talking for an hour and 40 minutes, and I still haven't gone through headlines yet, buddy.
Well, would you like me to get out of your way then and let you do headlines?
I got to do some headlines, and I promised other people to come on the show, and I'm kind of running out of time here, and we'll get you back on again. You're not a stranger to the show. How many times have you been on Mike and Night? What, 14, 20 times now?
20, I don't know, 21, 21.4. I don't pick a number, Mike. I have no idea. You call me up sometimes and say, come on the show. I say, okay. And I'm there.
But sometimes you get busy and things happen. That's okay. And then you miss a couple of weeks and you come back with an update, and then you come back, we're going to be doing our prediction show in 5 weeks. I'm going to give everyone 8 minutes, 6 to 8 minutes to come on and give us an update on what they believe 2024 predictions are going to be. And we do our annual prediction show. And then we got a lot of things lined up for the channel, our big Christmas show and all the stuff we do here on Mike in the Night that we've been doing all these years, this amount of effort and time we put in and creating this community and all this, so yeah.
All right. And I just wanted to say thank you, John. John says, if I may say so, in all the years I've watched you, Kevin, the stories of what you've done have been pretty consistent. I mean, well, why would I change them, right? Thank you, John, for pointing that out. And for the left-wingers out there who accuse me of making stories up and whatnot, well, you can make those accusations if you want. Obviously, you can't back them. I'm not going to sue you for it because you probably have no money anyway. You have nothing to offer anyway. It'd be a matter of, if you folks on the left wing are so upset with the stories that I tell, or the news stories that we bring to you, why not create your own podcast and compete with me on your own social media at the exact same time? And maybe if you're better, my audience will become your audience.
That's right.
All right. You've got the right to compete. Yeah. You've also got the right to cooperate. And
it's a free country.
Yeah, it absolutely is. But I mean, I want to just reflect here on the cooperation part of it. Mike, I noticed, for example, I had contacted you. I told you I was bringing the Kevin J. Johnston show back. I said, I'm bringing it back because I'm bored out of my mind. We canceled the show because of all the government interference, but I'm losing my mind. I got to do something with my time. So we brought the show back. I phoned you and I phoned everybody else that I know, like Pat King and Doug Force and everyone, and said, look, I'm going to bring my show back. I need to pick a night of the week that does not compete with you. That's a courtesy, because I don't want to compete with so-called freedom fighters. I want all of us to have our day, and it turned out nobody was doing Tuesday. That's why I picked Tuesdays for the Kevin J. Johnston show, 9 p.m. Eastern time at freedomreport.ca. But it's amazing how many freedom fighters chose to compete with me. They would have special shows the exact same time I was, and then get mad at me that I wouldn't turn my show off so they could have the spotlight. Like, how dare you ask? You know, how long have we been doing Tuesday nights now? It's about a year, year and a bit.
I've been doing Saturday since 2016.
Right. And again, you've got the right to compete with me. You do have the right to compete with me. I'm just saying that I'm the only one out there, and yourself, Mike, that would actually give people the courtesy of finding out what night that we're not competing.
Yeah.
Because I want everybody who's on the conservative side to have a show and an audience and a voice.
Yeah.
But we no longer have that level of cooperation anymore on the conservative side. Everyone's now competing and bad-mouthing each other and so on. And, you know, I don't want to use the word betrayed because that's childish, but there was an individual, everyone might remember him. His name was Logan Murphy. He was my photographer during the 2021 mayor race. And then he came to me last year, I think it was January, asking me to help sell his book. And I said, well, I'd love to, but I'm under court order right now that I can't be on the internet. So that was last year in January, February. But when we get back online, you know, I can have you on my show, which will have 0 fans because I've been offline for so long. I don't know how I can help you sell your book. Now, he took that as F you, I'm not going to help you sell your book. I just said, I don't know how I can help you, considering I was still on house arrest and my charges had not been thrown out yet. Charges for not wearing a mask. So he turns around and puts this story out about me trying to seduce a male, an 18-year-old male journalist named Cody Kuntz. Cody Kuntz, of course, came public and said, no, that never happened. But it didn't make a difference because Logan Murphy had spread this rumor, which then meant everyone that Logan and me had known mutually all felt they had to take a side. Just like Israel, Palestine, they all felt they had to pick a side. I told everyone, don't bother picking a side. Cody says it didn't happen. I said it didn't happen. And think about this. Everyone knows I'm heterosexual. You all know out there, ladies and gentlemen, I love ladies 40 and up. I certainly don't like men. Right. So, but what I'm going to get at here is that the hardcore fundamentalist Christians decided that they had to judge what he had put out and decided to take sides as well. So what it did was one stupid act of a former friend had then divided not only our circle of friends, but also divided Pastor Artur Pawlowski's church. People felt they had to pick a side. Why? Why do you have to pick a side? It's some 27-year-old kid that made something up. And it backfired on him completely because everybody with influence sided with me. I didn't ask them to. They just chose to side with me. And not only that, but he tried to get Antifa on his side. And Antifa publicly sided with me. Do you believe that? When you've got the Antifa people telling Logan he's full of crap, and they know that Kevin's not into this lifestyle, how embarrassing is that for you? And that's what ended up happening there. So this whole backstabbing thing that I'm talking about, and there's more examples. I don't care anymore. I'm just saying this whole backstabbing thing is what's stopping conservatives like us from getting anywhere, because now these conservative folks are bad talking and backstabbing each other. It's really sad. I'm not going to engage in it. I don't care. I really don't care. I will say to the Christian man that this former Christian man friend I talked about earlier in your show, Mike, who's decided now to publicly try to humiliate me based on the lie that was told a year ago. I'm going to say you're not a very good Christian. Okay. You're judging. What did Jesus say? Now, if you're going to judge others, so shall ye be judged. I don't judge. And I'm certainly not going to get involved in the rumor mill. I would just encourage everybody out there not to get involved in rumor mills. If someone's coming to you saying, "Hey, did you know that your neighbor Steve is sleeping with like that?" Who cares? Just say, "I'm not interested in this type of subject matter." Gossip is not conversation. Gossip is just killing time waiting for death. That's all that it is. So I don't engage in gossip. I've actually been, people have come to me saying, "Hey, did you know Chris Sky is sleeping with," and I stopped them. I don't care. It's none of my business. I know Chris Sky as a really good acquaintance, as a cool guy, and as somebody who gets news before anybody else does. That's how I know Chris Sky. I don't want to think about Chris Sky naked. I really don't. Right? Not because I'm insecure, but because it's none of my business. Mike, I don't want to know anything that you do in bed. Don't ever tell me. And if someone's going to come to me saying, "Did you know Mike Martins did this thing with his finger?" I'm going to stop them dead. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And your
what's about you don't like my finger?
Well, I don't want to know where it's been. I really don't. But I stop it dead because rumor mills and that level of conversation is pathetic. And if you are into gossip, everybody, it hurts you more than the person that you're trying to hurt, because there are intelligent people out there who will call you out on it and tell you, "I'm not interested." And if you can talk that badly about Mike Martins or Chris Sky or Pat King or me or whatever, if you're going to speak that badly about people, what will you say about me when we disagree on something? So being a gossiper will get you kicked out of more lives than you think that it will. Logan Murphy destroyed his life doing this. He's not welcome anywhere that I'm welcome any longer. And that's not even my decision. That's the other people's decision who decided to side with me, even though I didn't ask them to pick sides. People will always pick sides.
All right.
I'm encouraging you not to.
Kevin, I'm going to let you go because it's almost been 2 hours and I'm running out of showtime here. And I need to get, people are asking if I could do some headlines here. I need to get some headlines out so we could kind of timestamp this date, because I usually like to go through the headlines and see where we're at on a global scale.
No, I get that. You should have bragging rights on how quickly you break news, Mike. Because you're breaking it earlier than everybody else, and mainstream media won't touch what you touch. And that's why I love you so much, pal.
Yeah, I love you too, buddy. I like your energy tonight. You're on fire tonight. You got a lot to say tonight, and it's been an hour and 46 minutes of it. And that's wow. I'm just sitting back and letting you, I guess, blow off some steam, explain, go in depth, whatever you have to do, and yeah, and I appreciate the energy, man, because I'm actually tired tonight. I almost like, should I do tonight? I don't know. I'm tired, but that's okay. You carried most of the show for me tonight anyway.
Well, Mike, I'll tell you what, when you're done your show, get back on Skype and I'll read you a storybook and you can go to bed. I'm not singing lullabies, but I'll read you Goldilocks and the Three Bears. How's that sound?
All right. That sounds perfect, buddy.
That's my promise to you.
Okay. I'll call you after the show. Kevin, thanks for coming on. And your show is at freedomreport.ca, right?
Yes, freedomreport.ca, Mike. Every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. That's the political Kevin J. Johnston show. And on Thursdays, freedomreport.ca at the same time is the amazing dating and relationship advice show. We've had a lot of fun with that one. And
yes, I've tuned into a few episodes.
Spicer,
really good.
Alberta's foremost country star. She's great.
All right, Kevin. God bless you. Have a good night, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for this. Take care.